Hi, this is Anthony. Welcome back to my show. Before I start, please click the subscribe button below. It really helps me out and it doesn't cost you anything. YouTube is not going to track you any more than they already do if you click it, so please click it as you listen to this video. Thank you. Today was another bloodbath on the stock market. Many famous investors have been quoted about the best time to invest is when the blood is flowing in the streets. Remember, this advice is true for stock indices, not always true for individual stocks. An individual company's stock may be down in sympathy with the rest of the market as the world faces a major war in Ukraine, while inflation is at its highest levels in the industrialized world in a long time. A looming recession and higher oil and food prices, due in part to the war in Ukraine, are no doubt weighing heavily too. But the alternative for some stocks is they're primarily down because they're not good investments. So what in the world should one do with Nano Dimension, stock symbol NNDM? The whole purpose of investing in the stock market is to have more money when you end than when you started. Let's look at some charts. Since it was floated in 2015, Nano Dimension has lost 96.70%. That means that $100 invested in less than 7 years ago would leave you with $3.30 today. During the same time period, a broad-based index like the S&P 500 is increased by about 157%, and that's taking into account this year's current bear market. Now, I've had viewers in the past argue with me and say that my numbers are incorrect because there was a reverse split for Nano Dimension in the past. That is adjusted in the first chart, so don't worry, I'm not misleading you and you don't need to write to me complaining about that point. By the way, for full disclosure, I'm not shorting the stock and I have no intention at the present to trade the stock in any way. I'm simply making this video for educational purposes, and even if I wanted to manipulate the price of the stock one way or the other, the small number of viewers that I have in no way could move the market at all. So, what are the negatives besides the stock losing over 95% of its value over the course of its lifetime? The company is currently losing money. Look at the charts on financial tables. In the past, they've lost money, they are currently losing money, and there's nothing that I can see that will reverse that anytime soon. So your investable dollars are better spent in putting it in something with a greater probability of investment returns. And by the way, if these shares are undervalued at this point, then why is ARK Invest and Cathie Wood selling rather than buying at this point? Or for that matter, why isn't anyone else buying? Why aren't executives buying at these prices? Sure, there's the possibility that you could buy Nano at its current low price, and if you're lucky, there might be a bump up and you could sell at a profit. But again, look at the chart and think to yourself, you could have put money in so many other things and come out ahead. Analysts point out that they have over $1 billion in the bank. That's certainly true. That's great for the company. But that money came from a secondary share offering last year. It's not because they sold a bunch of machinery and made money. They sold a bunch of new shares, which diluted existing shareholders. And still, the stock keeps falling faster than the current bear market. People argue that the problem of the company up until recently were the fault of the previous management, and the new managers will make the company more profitable. They point out that the CEO was a fighter pilot in the Israeli Air Force. Great. But actually, the history of military people in business as managers is not all that great. However, looking at Mr. Stern's resume, he does have some actual high-tech business experience, so that's good. In my previous video, I point out an odd thing about Mr. Stern's age and when he started college. It's probably not a big deal, but I featured it in my previous video, and that's got a lot of views. Be sure to check out that one after you watch this one. And the last negative thing that I'm going to say is there is always the danger that the company will enact a second reverse split. Reverse splits are usually bad because it tells you that the company thinks that its shares are going to continue falling into the foreseeable future. If a stock gets too low, it risks being delisted from the exchanges. But the problem with reverse splits for the small investor is that most, but not all, brokerages and trading platforms will charge a fee for reverse splits, which is never charged for regular splits. In the case of my account, which is a no commission account, I'm charged a $38 fee for a reverse split. Now, what about the positives? Recently, there was an article published on Seeking Alpha and one from a few months ago on The Motley Fool. I'm going to put some of that information from those to show you what others argue are the positives for the stock going forward. Again, for the near to medium term, I don't think that these are valid, and I think for the long term they may not come to fruition. but I want to give my viewers the opportunity to see what others argue. I'm going to put up each one for a short time, but remember, this is YouTube. You can pause it to read the whole thing. And again, I'm just putting up some of the main arguments from these two articles. The one from Seeking Alpha is quite long. The one from The Motley Fool is quite short and also looks at two other stocks. After reading the whole articles online and other sources of information that you find out about the company, including looking at their financials, which you can find all over the internet, then and only then should you make any decision on buying or selling shares in Nano Dimension. So, if after doing your own research you agree that Nano Dimension is not a good security to invest in, then what should you put your money into? Again, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not giving you financial advice. We're in a bear market, which means the market is going down. I've mentioned a lot of negatives on the world and national stage. Those could cause the domestic stock markets in the United States and other countries too to continue to go down or sideways for a period of time, possibly for a number of years. I'm always long-term bullish on the American stock market because I think long-term companies sell goods and services to consumers and their stock prices eventually go up. That being said, often the standard advice is to dollar cost average into mutual funds, which track broad market indices like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ Spiders or the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is not advice, but long-term investing in indices like those is generally fairly safe and financially rewarding if you are a patient long-term investor. For potential investors willing to take more risk, I think that recent hits to the shares of Amazon and Tesla, due to a combination of both financial results and or other news, has potentially provided an opportunity to get into them at this point. Again, this is not financial advice. I've done several videos on Palantir, and in fact, Palantir, Amazon, and Tesla are my three largest holdings. I think at recent lows, Palantir is a very intriguing stock with great prospects. Do your own research on them to see if they may be appropriate for some part of your well-diversified portfolio. But of course, view all my videos on Palantir also for additional ideas about that company. Two others to research at this time might be Pool Corporation, stock symbol POOL, and Crown Castle International, stock symbol CCI. One sells pool supplies, the other operates cell phone towers. I no longer own any shares in these two companies, but I have in the past, and I did well with them when I owned them and sold them at a profit. Both pay dividends, but looking at the chart, you need to be very cautious and do your own research. This may or may not be the time to get into them. But if you do your own research and like the company or companies and determine what price to buy into them, if prices continue to fall, then you'll be prepared to buy them when you think that it's prudent. Okay, that's enough thoughts about stocks for today. I would really appreciate it if you made it this far, if you leave a comment, either positive or negative. I can take the negative criticism, and in fact, I've made videos in the past where I specifically analyze various videos or viewers' critiques of my arguments. I would love to do that again if viewers leave comments. And if you like this type of content and want to see more, it would really help me if you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, please view my other videos, and if you like them, click the like button. It also helps out if you leave a comment in the comment section for each one. I'm on Instagram at AnthonyRR Mills. You can follow me there. Since this channel is not yet monetized, if you want to help me out, I sell small collectibles on eBay. Things like old stock and bond certificates, coins and banknotes, stamps and postal items, and books, along with other things such as Masonic items. If you're interested in buying silver coins as collectibles or investments, I usually have some listed. If you're interested in investing in gold or silver as a commodity, I have a few YouTube videos that explain how you can easily do that, plus some of the pitfalls in doing so. You can find my items on eBay with my username stock_tycoon. Thanks for watching.